What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Dark Magician deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely nostalgic deck that we just got a really cool new boss monster for. Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of the Ultimate Wizard in terms of attack and defense, the Dark Magician. This card is a definite 2-of in the build because we have so many different ways to be able to get to this card in the deck. But this card is an extremely nostalgic card and an awesome boss monster. We then play a single copy of Dark Magician Girl. This card is also an extremely nostalgic card in the deck, but you really only need a single copy in this build because this card is a great combo piece that we have many ways in this deck to get to this card. We then play a single copy of Apprentice Illusion Magician. This card is a definite 1-of in the build and is a really cool card because it can actually special summon itself to your side of the field and also boost up one of your Dark Spellcaster monsters up by 2,000 attack and defense points during damage calculation only. I love that about this card because if you combo with your copy of Dark Magician, you can boost Dark Magician up to 4,500 attack points, which can match a Blue Eyes Ultimate, which is super cool. And if this card is normal or special summon to your side of the field, it can actually search Dark Magician, which is a really cool effect. We then play a single copy of Timaeus the United Dragon. This card can also special summon itself to your side of the field extremely easily by sending a spellcaster monster or a spell or trap card that mentions Dark Magician from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard, making this card easy to put on your side of the field. This card is also walking polymerization and the main way we actually summon out Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic. We then play 3 copies of Magician's Rod. This card is a great searcher for the deck because when this card is normal summoned to the field, you get to add a spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Dark Magician in its text, which is a really cool effect for this card to have because there's a bunch of cards in this deck that this card can search directly from our deck to our hand by just normal summoning it to our side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Magician Souls. Magician Souls is a definite 3-of in the build and just such a cool card in the deck because this card has the great effect that when it's on your side of the field that you can send up to 2 spells or traps from your hand or from your field to the graveyard and then draw that many cards, which is great for this deck to have that much draw power in the build because this card is searchable off our copy of Illusion of Chaos. This card is also easy to put on your side of the field because if this card is in your hand, you can send a level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the graveyard to either special summon this card to your side of the field or send it to the graveyard and then special summon a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from the graveyard, which is a great effect because it instantly gets you one of your boss monsters on the field, or it gets you this card on the field so you can use it for draw power. We then play 2 copies of Illusion of Chaos. Illusion of Chaos is really good in this deck as a 2-of because this card actually searches out your copy of Magician Souls because you can reveal this card in your hand to add Dark Magician or a non-ritual monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand, then place 1 card from your hand on top of your deck, which is a really good effect to instantly get to cards like Magician Souls or your copy of Magician's Rod, which is a really cool effect for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Bysteel Magnamut. Magnamut is really good in this deck as a 3-of because it's a dragon and it deals with cards in your opponent's graveyard because it has the ability to let you target a light or dark monster in either graveyard and banish it. And if you do, special summon this card from your hand, and it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, which is a great effect to be able to use. It also has the ability, if this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect that during the end phase of this turn, add a dragon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is a great ability to be able to search out cards like Timaeus, which is just so cool. We then play 2 copies of Druis Worm. Druis Worm is a definite 2-of in the deck because if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can actually target a special summon monster that your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard, which is a great effect. This card also is just really good in this particular build because it shares the exact same effect as Magnamut to be able to summon itself to your side of the field. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Magical Eyes Fusion. Magical Eyes Fusion is a definite one-of in the build because this card is basically Miracle Fusion for spellcasters and is a really good fusion spell in this build. We then play a single copy of Secrets of Dark Magic. Secrets of Dark Magic is extremely helpful in this particular deck because this card has a great ability that's basically polymerization for your Dark Magician, which is just really cool. Plus, it's a quick play spell, so you can even use it during your opponent's turn. We then play a single copy of Magician's Salvation. Magician's Salvation is great in this deck because when this card is activated, you can set Eternal Soul directly from your deck, which is a great effect to instantly get to your copy of Eternal Soul. And it also has the ability if you normal or special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you can target one of those monsters and then special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard with a different name than that monster, essentially getting you both of them on your side of the field, which is a great effect. We then play 2 copies of Dark Magical Circle. This card is basically the pot of duality for the deck, which is great about this card because it has the ability when this card is activated, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, then you reveal a Dark Magician or Spell or Trap card that specifically lists the card Dark Magician among those cards and add it to your hand and place the rest on the top of your deck in any order. And also, if you normal or special summon Dark Magician to your side of the field, you can target one card that your opponent controls and banish it, which is a great ability because that's a once per turn effect. So every single turn, you're going to be banishing card with this card's effect, which is just really amazing. We then play 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is really cool because this card actually searches out our copy of Illusion of Chaos directly from our deck to our hand. We then play 3 copies of Soul Servant. Soul Servant is really good as a 3-of in the build because this card has a great ability that you place one card on the top of your deck from your hand, deck, or graveyard that is Dark Magician or specific list Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in its text, except a copy of this card, which is a great effect to instantly put the exact card you need on top of your deck because during your main phase, you can actually banish this card from your graveyard and draw cards equal to the number of Paladinium monsters, Dark Magician, and or Dark Magician Girl monsters with different names on the field or in the graveyard, which is a really good effect because this card can give you a maximum draw of 2 in this build, which is so cool. I love that about this card, that you put any card that you pretty much need on top of the deck, and then if you have Dark Magician in the graveyard or on your field, you just banish it and then draw the card that you put on top, which is a great ability. Also, it combos extremely well with your copy of Dark Magical Circle. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is a definite 3 of the build because this card is amazing because a lot of your Dark Magician monsters require Dark Magician plus a type of monster to be able to make them, which is super good in this deck because Super Poly lets you use your opponent's monsters to be able to make your fusion monsters, which is so cool about this card. This card also breaks boards, and we have some really cool Super Poly targets in the extract for this card. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Eternal Soul. Eternal Soul is an amazing 2 in the deck because every Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects, which is a really cool thing about this card. But if this face-up card leaves the field, you destroy all monsters that you control, which is a little bit of a downside, but this card is so powerful that you've got to play it. It also has the ability once per turn, you can special summon a Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, which is a great effect to instantly get a Dark Magician on your side of the field every single turn, especially with Dark Magical Circle being able to banish a card every time you put a Dark Magician on the field once per turn. This card combos extremely well with that card. We then play 3 copies of Gozen Match. Gozen Match is an amazing 3-of in the deck because we're usually only summoning out dark monsters anyways, so this card is an extremely powerful 3-of in the deck. The only non-dark monster we're playing in the main deck is actually Timaeus the United Dragon, and usually, since we're going first with all the floodgates in the deck, we're going to set this card to our side of the field, summon out Timaeus, fusion summon it away and get it off the field, make a dark fusion monster, and then during our opponent's turn, we flip this card face up. So it's really not that big of a deal for us. We then play 3 copies of Skill Drain. This card is amazing because in this deck, our main boss monster is a vanilla monster. So this card is amazing for us because essentially when we flip this card up, we can basically just summon Dark Magician over and over again with Eternal Soul, which is a 2500 attack point monster that we can make constantly to go in for game, which is just amazing. This card hurts the opponent a lot more than it hurts us, which is why we play this card as a 3-of in the build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with a single copy of the new Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic. This card is a really cool one-of in the deck. It is a really awesome card because it's a fusion between Gaia the Dragon Champion and Dark Magician, which is so cool. This card actually requires Dark Magician plus a level 7 or higher dragon or warrior monster to make this card. So it's very easy to make. And if your monster attacks a defense edition monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. And once per turn, when your monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal that monster's original attack points. And if this card is destroyed, you can special summon both a Dark Magician and a Gaia the Dragon Champion from your hand, deck, extra deck, and or graveyard, which is great that this card replaces itself like the copy of the Dark Magicians. We then play a single copy of Gaia the Dragon Champion, because we can actually summon this card off the effect of our new fusion monster, which is why we play this card as a one-of in the build. We then play two copies of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is a definite 2 in the build because this card is a walking negate. It cannot be targeted, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and it's just absolutely amazing and just a tank of a boss monster. We then play a single copy of the Dark Magicians. The Dark Magicians is a really cool one-of in the deck, because once per turn, if a spell or trap card or effect is activated, then you can actually draw a card. Then if it was a spell or trap card, you can set it to your side of the field, and if it's a trap or quick play, you can activate it this turn. And if this card is destroyed, then you can actually special summon both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is great that it replaces itself, just like your copy of your new fusion monster. We then play a single copy of Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. This card is a great one-of in the deck, because it actually protects our floodgates, which is just super cool. We then play a single copy of Garua. Garua is really good in this deck as a one-of, because if it does touch the graveyard, we get to draw a card, and it also is super easy to summon with Super Poly, because it actually just takes 2 monsters with the same type and attribute, but different levels, which is really easy to do because we play Gozen Match. We then play a single copy of Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Mud Dragon is really good as a one-of in the deck, because this card just requires 2 monsters with the same attribute, but different types, and this card is great as a Super Poly target. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's really good because we can pop multiple cards on the field with this card, and it gets absolutely massive. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff. Celine, because we can make our copy of Access Code extremely easily with this card. 1 copy of the Dark Charmer, because this card is very easy to make in the deck. 1 copy of IP Masquerena, because we can make our copy of Unicorn during the opponent's turn. 1 copy of Link Spider, just in case we need to turn our copy of Dark Magician into an effect monster. And a single copy of Artemis, because it works with Magician's Rod extremely well. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have not played Dark Magicians before, you should definitely give this deck a try. I really think this new Dark Magician fusion monster is super cool and just really nostalgic to be able to use 2 of Yugi's old school cards to be able to make this really awesome boss monster. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.